30 points. 30 points. Arsenal are 30 points ahead of Chelsea. I don't think that there has been a bigger gap between the two teams in either direction in my lifetime. I think that Arsenal are now as superior to Chelsea as they have ever been in my entire lifetime. They are 30 points ahead of us, and they have just beaten us 5-0. That is the biggest margin of success that they have ever had over Chelsea. In their entire history, they have never had a result as significant as 5-0 against us ever. And it has happened now, under this new regime, under Mauricio Pochettino, under this crop of players. Mauricio Pochettino should be sacked in the tunnel. He should not be the Chelsea manager now. We are less than an hour off the back of that full-time whistle blowing, and Mauricio Pochettino should have been sacked already. He should have been sacked in the tunnel, just like Carlo Ancelotti was at Goodison Park. Mauricio Pochettino must not be Chelsea manager by the morning. He is so clearly out of his depth. He is so clearly not cut from the right cloth to be the Chelsea manager. He is not Chelsea. He does not represent Chelsea well. Being the Chelsea manager is a prestigious job that should be something that is embraced and loved and cherished by the right incumbent. And the fact that Mauricio Pochettino in the job, a man who is clearly Tottenham, a man who prioritises Tottenham, a man who clearly still loves Tottenham, he has no right to be in that job. He is an embarrassment. He is a disgrace. And that crop of players should hang their head in shame. The biggest ever win that Arsenal has got over Chelsea happens on his watch in his debut season. If he is a man of honour, if he is a man of pride, if he is a man of integrity, he should have the guts and the wherewithal to resign, because it is a catastrophe what is going on, and he is letting us down time and time again. It was a disastrous performance. It was embarrassing. Like, genuinely embarrassing. I feel like the word embarrassing is used in football punditry so often. It's so often overused. Certain things aren't embarrassing. But going away to Arsenal and losing 5-0 and not putting up a fight and not demonstrating any sort of spirit, any sort of heart, any sort of desire, any sort of tenacity. Just a total and utter embarrassing watch. It's heartbreaking, actually, to have a crop of players so clearly inept, so clearly lacking in ambition, so clearly lacking in any fight or pride in the club. It's truly painful. And the night that we've just witnessed is a night that will bring anguish to Chelsea fans for many years to come. I often talk about Wenger's 1000th game. I often talk about Chelsea winning 6-0. I often bring that up. Wenger's 1000th game, Chelsea turned up, Chelsea did the business. Arsenal now have their reply to that. Arsenal now know that they have an answer to that. And whether they win the league or not, on the race for the title, when it most mattered for Arsenal, when they desperately needed the points, when Chelsea had the opportunity to stop them in their tracks, when Chelsea had the opportunity to make sure that one of our biggest rivals, our London rivals, didn't win the league, we could have ensured that the league title did not go to Arsenal and protect and preserve this delicate and precious record of them not winning the league for 2 decades. We had the opportunity. These players could have made history in their own way and made sure that Arsenal did not win the league. A pitiful season could have been somewhat rescued. Just as it was when we finished 10th. We had the opportunity to stop Tottenham in their tracks, and we did it. We turned up. Diego Costa and Eden Hazard turned up. This crop of players, flimsy, delicate, pathetic, arrogant. I can honestly say that I have never disliked a crop of Chelsea players more. I can honestly say that I have never disliked a Chelsea manager more. I can honestly say that this crop of players are the most dislikable I've ever known. They are also the most mediocre that I have ever known. It was a footballing car crash. From start to finish, every single thing that could have gone wrong did go wrong. We were totally chaotic. That back line, if it wasn't so painful, it'd be comical. I mean, they were lawless. They were all over the place. What were they doing? I have absolutely no idea what tactics were instilled in that back line, but they were totally and utterly all over the shop. Completely disorganised, no leadership whatsoever. And the culture at Chelsea Football Club absolutely stinks at the moment. And that stems from the top down. Now, don't get me wrong, Mauricio Pochettino definitely deserves to be sacked. But what is going on at the club since Todd Bowley and Egg Barley took over, it's an absolute catastrophe. Everything that they have touched has been disastrous. Every single aspect of Chelsea now is in the mud, and the club that we once were has gone. I mean, these useless, shambolic players who are all over the place, totally embarrassing. We're lumbered with these players for 8 years because of the intelligence, the intellect that exists in our boardroom. Trying to work out a loophole to make sure that we can meet our FFP regulations and stipulations. We have worked out a way to put these atrocious footballers on 8-year contracts, on massive wages. We are lumbered with these players for 8 years. So when I'm watching this game and I'm going, no manager who would come in next would want to work with him. I am watching a game of football and I'm looking at the players on the pitch in a London derby, in a must-win London derby, and I'm saying that there are at least half a dozen players that should never play for the club again. Guess what? We cannot get rid of them. We have managed to work out a loophole where they can now bend us over a barrel. We cannot get rid of these players because we have signed them up for 8 years because of our venture capitalist, billionaire, American owner who knows best. He didn't need anything from the previous regime. He didn't need the advice of Marina Granovskaya. He didn't need the guidance and tutelage of Petr Cech. He knew best. And now we are lumbered with these ridiculous fraud footballers. And that is what they are. And not only do we have frauds on the pitch, but we have a fraud in the dugout. An absolute joke, a waste of space, a waste of time, and a manager who should have never, ever been given the reins of Chelsea Football Club. It is a disgrace that Mauricio Pochettino is in charge of Chelsea. The man oozes Tottenham. And if you employ a Tottenham manager, you become Tottenham. That is why we keep getting beat. And I have no idea why it isn't being called out in the press. I have no idea why people aren't having a conversation about how clearly inept he has been. But this is a disgrace, a true disgrace, and I just do not know where we go from here. Like, I've been calling for Mauricio Pochettino's head for ages because he is useless. But I just cannot understand how he's getting away with it. If you play Arsenal, this isn't a secret. I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. You know it, I know it, and everyone in football knows it. If you play Arsenal and you do not have a defensive structure, you will get battered. The fact that we know this, and Mauricio Pochettino doesn't seem to know this, is troubling. So Chelsea didn't have a defensive structure when we played Arsenal. So something has gone wrong there. Either Mauricio Pochettino doesn't think that you need one, which is a real worry, or he does know that you need one and he doesn't know how to set one up, which is perhaps an even more severe worry. But the fact that Chelsea was so rudderless at the back when we were all over the place against Arsenal, and we know that if you give Arsenal time on the ball, if you give Arsenal space, if you allow Arsenal chances, if you allow Arsenal to dictate the tempo, they will batter you. They will absolutely batter you. So the fact that we have gone there without any sort of leadership in the back line, the fact that we have gone there and had a player of Thiago Silva's quality sitting on the bench, it's sackable in itself. And I really do not know where we go from here. Like, Mauricio Pochettino's responsibility is to compete with Arsenal and to find a way when we play them. And look, I'm saying that Pochettino needs to be sacked, and I believe that. I truly believe that. I think he needs to go. But it's very important that you don't think, if you're new to this channel, it's very important to me that you don't think that I'm saying that Pochettino needs to be sacked simply because of today. Today was woeful, and losing 5-0 at Arsenal is never acceptable. But this isn't on its own. This isn't isolated. We have been battered this season at home by Nottingham Forest. We have lost at home to Brentford. We have very recently drawn at home with Sheffield United. We have very recently drawn at home with Burnley. And now we have gone away to one of our biggest rivals and we have got absolutely battered. We have watched Kai Havertz score twice against us. We have watched Kai Havertz do his poxy celebration against us. We have had to tolerate watching Kai Havertz take the mick out of us, all on Mauricio Pochettino's watch, and that in itself is sackable. And the longer this goes on, I do not know how bad it can get. The fact that the Kai Havertz song to Shakira was blaring out at full volume as Arsenal fans dance in a full stadium while the away end is empty. It will go down as a historic night at Arsenal. It will go down as a great night at Arsenal. And if they win the league, the 5-0 victory against Chelsea on the run-in the business end of the season to move 4 points clear of Manchester City at the top of the league, it's a game that they will pinpoint as the deciding fixture of where they won the league. And you know what? Arsenal fans wouldn't even be wrong. We have contrived to give Arsenal the best possible opportunity of winning the league. And I can now see a world where they do it. Manchester City, I believe, will drop points in the title run-in. They will draw a game. I truly believe that Man City will draw a game, which means that Arsenal have it in their own hands because of their superior goal difference, which Pochettino has amplified drastically tonight. If they win every game between now and the end of the season, they will win the league. They needed something to get them buoyed up. They needed something to inspire them. They needed something to invigorate them. And Chelsea Football Club, the disgraceful performance that we have just seen, the shockingly bad structure that was set up by Pochettino, and the embarrassing personnel on the pitch who weren't even trying, literally no pride in the shirt, have just given Arsenal the best possible platform to win in the league. And that's who we are now. We are a team that are facilitating a title push by Arsenal Football Club. I don't know if there's a more poignant way to end this video than that. We're aiding Arsenal's title push. We have given them the marquee result that they desperately needed. We have given them the invigorating tonic that they needed off the back of losing consecutive games to Aston Villa and to Bayern Munich. That in itself, Pochettino, is sackable.